Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at what really happens when the excitement of starting something completely new just vanishes. Welcome to day 31. This is that fascinating psychological breaking point where motivation literally dies, and this massive goal you have, it becomes nothing but unglamorous routine. And that brings us to a really cold, hard truth. Wealth is built quietly. I mean, the actual journey, it isn't some loud viral montage you see on social media. It's happening behind the scenes. While others waste time endlessly scrolling, the successful person just keeps learning. While others complain about where they are, they just keep working. Total silence. Just look at this massive contrast. On day one, you're absolutely fueled by adrenaline, right? Everything is new and exciting. But then, day 31 hits. You wake up early, you study successful people, you learn money skills, and you work for hours with absolutely zero instant results. This is exactly where most people quit. Why? Because nothing looks exciting from the outside. There's no viral success, no huge money pouring in, just repetition. To really wrap our heads around this psychological curve, let's map it onto the brutal timeline of that MrBeast challenge. You know the one, where two complete strangers are trapped in a bright white room. The deal is they get $500,000 if they can just survive 100 days of pure isolation together. And honestly, just like building a business, it sounds incredibly simple on day one. But as you pass those early milestones, the reality of the endurance required kicks in, and those walls start feeling very, very close. What's wild is how the physical isolation of this survival cube perfectly mirrors the mental walls you hit when grinding out a new business. Bailey, one of the contestants, hit the nail on the head. He was talking about staring at a blinding white wall, eating the exact same canned chicken every single day, and just completely losing track of reality. It's the perfect metaphor for the lonely, maddening repetition of being an early-stage entrepreneur. But we've got to remember the anchor here, that massive $500,000 payout. Because whether you are literally sitting in a blindingly white cube or sitting in your bedroom at 2 a.m. trying to learn a new skill, that goal of financial freedom is really the only thing that justifies the psychological toll you're paying. So when motivation totally flatlines around day 31, discipline has to take over. And that brings us to Mark Tilbury's 3-step survival guide to real-world wealth. He outlines a really structured path to escape the traditional 9-to-5 grind and hit true financial freedom. You don't get there by riding the hype train. You do it through a relentless, repetitive cycle. Consume, apply, and educate. Step 1 is consume. Basically, you have to act like you're gathering resources in a survival game. You do this by intensely studying high-income skills. You've got to pick something you actually have a natural knack for. Maybe it's video editing or coding, and consume everything you can from credible experts. And here's the kicker. The traditional system doesn't teach you this stuff. You have to aggressively extract this knowledge yourself from places like YouTube, books, and deep dive communities. Which brings us to the ultimate hurdle of this whole journey. Imagine it's late at night. You've just uploaded a video, or you've finally finished coding a project for the challenge. You check your phone one last time before going to sleep, and you see some small growth. Not enough to impress anyone. Will you quit? Or will you realize that this small, almost invisible progress is enough to prove you're moving forward? Sometimes, that's literally all you need to keep going. Because this is exactly what you do on day 31. That morning, you sit in your small room, open a notebook, and write down your future goals. Better mindset, financial freedom, $500,000. They're just simple words. But anchoring yourself to these core desires every single day in a quiet room is exactly how discipline slowly turns those words into reality. Now, let's compare the high-stakes temptations thrown at those MrBeast contestants with the everyday distractions that derail real-world entrepreneurs. In the Cube, the host actively tries to break their discipline with absurd stuff, like a $50,000 private chef or brand new Teslas. In real life, the temptations are a lot cheaper, but honestly, just as dangerous. We're talking about mindlessly scrolling on your phone, complaining, trading your focus for a cheap hit of dopamine. Giving into those, it costs you the ultimate prize. To survive this grueling middle phase of the challenge, you have to transition to the apply phase. This is where you test your consumed knowledge in the real world, and you absolutely must give yourself the freedom to fail. You can't just be in consumption mode forever. You have to step out and build that first, frankly terrible app, or edit that first clunky video. Because as Tilbury points out, failing and actually applying your skills is where real expert experience is forged. And just look at the math of the grind here. Simply securing 5 clients at $2,000 a month
hits that life-changing $10,000 a month milestone. Breaking it down like this really strips away the overwhelming nature of the mountain you're climbing. You don't need a massive viral channel to get there. You just need the relentless, quiet application of your craft.
But hey, we definitely can't ignore the psychological abyss of this middle phase. It is perfectly captured by Ryan Trahan's intense isolation deep into his 100-day VR metaverse challenge. He locked himself in a headset for 100 days, and by day 36, his virtual friends were offline, he was dealing with massive existential dread and taking these incredibly sad, lonely trips to a virtual McDonald's. It's just a stunningly accurate picture of the entrepreneurial trough of sorrow. His raw admission here, saying he wasn't having fun anymore and was barely taking care of himself, proves that surviving the middle phase is incredibly exhausting. Whether you're trapped in a VR headset or building a business from your bedroom, it drains you. His physical surroundings were a mess, his mental state was fragile. It just proves the quiet grind is not glamorous in the slightest. It's a brutal test of your sanity and your fundamental willpower.
Step 3. Educate. Scaling your wealth. If you can somehow push through all that darkness, you reach this final stage. This is where you realize that trading your hours for dollars, even at a high-paying job, still leaves you trapped. Instead, you take your hard-earned expertise and package it into recurring revenue streams. You systemize your processes. You teach others. You build courses, communities, or coaching platforms. This creates predictable revenue, which is basically the holy grail of business, allowing you to finally decouple your time from your income.
Looking back at the survival cube, those final days become an absolute pressure cooker of massive spending, extreme irritation, and just desperately anticipating the finish line. I mean, the contestants caved and spent $20,000 just for a family visit. They blew over $100,000 on real beds and entertainment. By day 99, they were practically enemies, rationing hot water and hiding board game pieces from each other. The finish line really does weird things to human behavior. Then, on the very last day of the challenge, after surviving 100 days of sheer psychological torture, they face the ultimate prisoner's dilemma. The host blindfolds them and presents 2 buttons: split or steal. If they both split, they share the remaining cash. If one steals, they take it all. But if they both press steal, they walk away with absolutely nothing. The tension in this moment is unbelievable. One of them says it perfectly. If they both press steal, they spent 100 days in that hellhole for absolutely nothing. It reveals that reaching your goal isn't just a test of endurance. It's a test of the character you've built along the way. And in the end, despite all the bickering and the psychological decay, both contestants actually chose to split. They honored their shared struggle. They proved that the grind didn't completely destroy their humanity. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you navigate your own path to financial freedom. After 100 days of quiet, unglamorous discipline, when you finally reach the vault, who will you be? Will you be someone who cut corners and let the isolation turn you bitter? Or will you be someone who quietly put in the reps, built true expertise, and maintained your character when the pressure was at its absolute highest? Because ultimately, the grind doesn't just build your wealth, it builds you.